Deirdre joins us now. Certainly, they're changing their tune, as so many of these companies are, on profitability. Can they continue to expand, Deirdre? And do you think Klarna, with that massive slash in valuation, is unique or a sign of what's happening out there?
I think it's a sign of what's happening out there. I mean, their new valuation is more in line with what we've seen in public comps, like Affirm, the other buy now, pay later firm that is really big here in the U.S. The key for Klarna is that, yes, it has experience being profitable, but can it turn on those levers here in the United States? It is a much more competitive market. He told us himself that they are not yet profitable here. They're still in growth mode. So you have to wonder sort of what their investors in this latest round are asking in terms of that path to profitability, which is, as you said, Sarah, what it is all about. We also talked about the buy now, pay later space. He made the comparison that as we enter this economic downturn, it's actually going to be more appealing to consumers, especially those younger consumers that we know love to use it.
That's what Max Levchin said on the show last week from Affirm. So what is Wall Street so worried about here?
Well, this is what I asked Sebastian Siemiatowski. I asked him if it was a bubble. I mean, nearly $46 billion market cap. That is huge. The multiples on that, some would argue, are crazy. There's been so much money in private markets. Affirm was part of this as well. Then it went public, and we see what the public markets have done. So that's sort of the key question. Can it ever get back to that point? Can it ever be worth more than $40 billion? Again, of course, he's confident that they can. He would say that. He made the sort of comparison to an Amazon, how it had its boom, then bust, then boom again. But remember, everyone loves to use that example of Amazon. There were many companies at the time that went bust altogether, and even some like Cisco that just never reached that .com, that peak valuation.
Good point. Deirdre Bosta. Deirdre, thank you. Is there an opportunity here, Shannon, in some of these buy now, pay later? So I know Klarna's private, but some of the public stocks that have gotten shellacked, or fintech overall?
Well, let's talk about this space in particular, Sarah. Yeah, they did great when the buy now, pay later, when you didn't necessarily need buy now, pay later, right? That's the right time to be extending credit, particularly to the consumer, is when they don't necessarily need it or where you feel really secure that they're going to be able to pay it back. Obviously, if we enter into a recessionary environment, the demand is going to be there, but the risk for these buy now, pay later companies is going to be much higher, and I think that's going to they're going to have to be compensated for that. You know, when we talk about profitability in terms of how much they're taking on in terms of that credit. So for me, I think that's probably a little bit early for these companies. I do think there's also, just from a competitive perspective, not a whole lot different in the business models. So there's probably some winners and losers here. But I think that this space is going to continue to be under some pressure from a valuation perspective, but also just given what they do and what does that demand end up looking like for the type of consumers that they really do want to be affording credit to.